Nicholas, I made you
Yes,
co-host.
thanks.
Hope you all liked it, by the way. I think you can share your screen now. Can you try?
Sure. I think you should see some slides.
Yes.
Great. Cool. So then, shall I get started?
Yeah, man, go for it.
Cool. Then thanks first of all again, Ruben. Very, very insightful. I hope I can live up to that. So I brought today our what we coined the local search strategy, and Miles asked me to come up with a cool title. That's why I brought up this title. How shifting from broad to hyper relevant in lead gen brought 2.5x leads and 2x ROAS. And I know because you guys like results and you like screenshots from within Google Ads, I brought too long didn't read the results. So what we basically did is we have a client, we're still working with them. They provide, so I tried to make all the interfaces in German, but some in English, but some terms are in German, and I will translate it as good as I can for you. So they provide singing lessons, and they offer it as a digital service. And we started with them, and basically prior to working with us, they were using phrase match, broad match, everything. So, and we actually identified a certain pattern in the search terms where we saw a potential to improve their results. And so we have here like the direct comparison. This is last year, and yeah, I took a time frame that is like 30 days before the major change we did and 30 days after. And you can see that we significantly increased the number of leads. Yes, we also spent a little bit more, but we also significantly increased the ROAS. So we use offline conversion tracking, obviously, here to also check the quality of the leads. So this was looking really, really good. But I will dive into what we did and how we did it just right away. And for those of you who don't know me, probably most of you, who am I? I'm Niklas, I'm 20 years old. I live in Berlin, Germany. And as Miles kindly introduced, I'm the founder of Radiant. We are an SEA or PPC and SEO agency. So we like to help our clients either get more results with Google Ads or improve their organic presence in Google. So we, yeah, think a lot about Google all the day. And currently we're 8 people, all full-time, and yeah, working with lead gen, working with e-commerce, but we have quite a focus on lead gen. And full disclaimer here, we like the new broad match. So I think all of you know that broad match has gone through certain changes a few years ago. So I actually started working with Google Ads around 2015, I think. So I started freelancing after I did my high school degree in 2013. So it's been quite a while. But back then, broad match was shit. Probably most of you agree, but now broad match is something that can actually work. And we also did a few posts on LinkedIn and all of that, where we said broad match is currently one of the biggest levers. And this is definitely right, but still, we are always looking for a competitive edge. And this is why when I see an account that is using broad match and that is successful, I like to dive deeper into the search terms and everything, if I can identify patterns. And in this particular case, so we are talking about a digital service, but the service is basically singing lessons or vocal coach or however you would call it in your local language. In Germany, you would say Gesangsunterricht. And when people search for such local services, they often search with their city, at least in Germany. But I don't think that it's just German phenomenon. It's also probably in other countries and other languages. But I took a screenshot from SEMrush, so basically just an SEO or keyword research tool. And I looked up the keywords for Gesangsunterricht, so singing lessons, and you can see here that the main keyword has a volume of around 4K, a little bit more, but then like sorted from highest volume to lowest, you can see this is marked the search terms with a certain city. So those are German cities: Berlin, Hamburg, Munich, Cologne, Frankfurt, Düsseldorf, Hanover, Stuttgart, and so on. So people really like to put their city into the search query when they hit it up on Google. And in this particular account we took over, we also identified that pattern. And now for you, it's important that this client didn't actively bid on those keywords, but they were using, as you can see here, either broad match keywords or phrase match keywords, but still, obviously, because Google is definitely quite smart, the local searches were triggered. And those terms were also converting really well. So it's just a small extract from the account, but we saw that there might be a potential for us to make more of it than just using singing lessons, vocal coach, whatever, as broad match terms or phrase match terms, and to bring it down to a more relevant driven approach. So we ask ourselves, how can we leverage this theme? Because there is, as you can see, so this screenshots illustrates all the keywords that SEMrush identifies that have singing lessons or the German term Gesangsunterricht in it. And it's quite a lot. And I don't know if how familiar you are with Germany, but in Germany, for example, we have around 2,000 cities. So it's quite a big country. And if we already see that people are searching for certain cities, okay, Berlin is a big city, Hamburg is a big city, with volumes that are either 4-digit or 3-digit, there will probably also be cities, smaller cities, obviously, but that might have still a volume of maybe 50 searches, 100 searches, but it adds up. And when we thought about this, we wanted to like really bring in this theme of hyper relevancy, as we coined it, because we wanted someone to, if they search for singing lessons Berlin, to experience like a very high relevancy across all layers that we have when we think about PPC or Google Ads campaigns. And for us in this particular case, it was keywords, ads, and landing pages. So we didn't just want to like book in those keywords and use like Gesangsunterricht Berlin as an exact match and whatever, but we wanted to like use it across those 3 layers. And this basically meant that we wanted to insert all the keywords with the city theme as exact match. So quite a few keywords. If you think about in Germany with 2,000 cities, then we wanted to add a keyword placeholder for a dynamic insertion of the keyword. Since we are a group of more advanced people, you will probably know it, but I find it important to always point this out. The keyword placeholder does not insert the search term that somebody's entering into the search bar in Google, but entering the keyword that has triggered the search. Because when I speak with maybe not so experienced people, they sometimes get it wrong. And it's important that for a keyword placeholder to really like live up to its full potential, it needs relevant keywords to be inserted and not only the search terms. So, and then we wanted to drive it even one step further and also think about the landing pages and how can we personalize or like bring in this hyper relevancy theme into the landing pages. And we just said, okay, we want to show the city in the headline of the landing page. It's quite a simple thought, but since we had to pull this off and operationalize this whole thing, we had to come up with an idea how to do it. And what we did is we pulled a list of its 2,077 German cities. So it's just an extract now of the Google Sheets screenshot, and it will like pull up like a curtain to the right now. And what we did at first is we created the headline that we wanted to push to the landing page. And we used this concatenate function in Google Sheets. I always find it quite helpful when people do stuff with Google Sheets that they also share which functions they use, because it can be helpful if you want to do something similar in the future. And what we basically did is we had this phrase, Gesangsunterricht in then city, nehmen, so it basically means take singing lessons in city. We then dynamically inserted the city here because we needed this headline to append it to the landing page URL, which I'll show you in a second, so that we get this term on the landing page. Then next up, we added the landing page URL with a query parameter just for like confidentiality reasons. I blurred the URL part that would identify the client. But basically, it reads like this. It's a certain tool that we use. I will also show it to you in a second, where we have this parameter at the end, which basically is called PS underscore keyword. And then we can add in what we want to push to the landing page as a personalization. Then we dynamically created the keywords. So we also used this concatenate function where we took the main keyword, we inserted it, which in this case is Gesangsunterricht, so singing lessons. And then we took the city, made it to lowercase, and then we had the keyword. And also because, I mean, if you insert this over the Google Ads interface, I do not recommend to pull this off over the Google Ads interface because it just takes too long. It's really nasty. So I recommend to do it over the Google Ads editor because it's really easy. And also, if you haven't used the Google Ads editor yet, it's a good option to get familiar with it. So this is also why we added the match type here, exact. So we wanted to prepare the columns that we then just can copy and paste into the Google Ads editor to then upload it. And then the last part is we created the final URL. So also the concatenate function again. We took the first part of the URL, and then very important, we took this, the B column, which is basically the statement that we wanted to pass on to the landing page. And we used the encode URL function, and you can see that those %20 is added, which is basically an URL encoded space. But this is important so that you have a functioning URL that you can put into Google Ads and then use it there if you pass on stuff where you need spaces and all of that. And so to use this personalization parameter then, because of course you can also create code and you can use Google Tag Manager and so on, but like we like to make our lives easy. So we used a tool, it's called Perspective. It helps you create high converting funnels and all of that. It's a German tool, but they also have an English version. And you can do a 14-day free trial. So I don't get paid any of that from them. If you want to, of course, but you don't have to do it. You can just sign up for a trial. We have a link that you could use, then you get a month for free, but you don't have to do it. But it's a really, really good tool because if you have this URL, then basically this happens. So at the left, you see a screenshot from within the tool. We can just add, this is like the keyword in this small gray area. We can just add this personalization parameter keyword. So in this case, this German reads du willst. So you want to, and then we would insert take singing lessons in Berlin, take singing lessons in Hamburg. And if you then have the URL, like I showed here, and you click on it, or somebody clicks on it, which is like embedded in your ads, then the headline will read like, du willst Gesangsunterricht in Berlin nehmen, du willst Gesangsunterricht in Hamburg nehmen. And so you have basically one landing page or one funnel that over this usage of this URL parameter can be fueled with hundreds or even thousands of different queries, which is very, very cool. And if you upload it, then this is basically how it looks in Google Ads. And I don't know how often you use the final URL extension before for the keywords. I think this is a pretty well use case for it because it's basically made for this. So because we just have 3 responsive search ad slots, obviously, we can just have 3 URLs there. But if we want to have it to this level of relevancy that you have like 2,000 keywords and 2,000 different URLs, you have to use the final URL extension. And this has worked really, really well. And yeah, basically, I wanted to have this at the bottom again, but I will just jump back to the front. Those are the results we got. You can see here, this was the Gesangsunterricht ad group before. This is the Gesangsunterricht local with our local theme. And yeah, it worked really well now for the client. And we have also rolled this out to other music lesson types. So for example, piano lessons, guitar lessons, whatever. And we have also quite a few other clients where we used the strategy with other terms. So basically all services that are local or where people feel like they need a local service, like lawyers, tax advisors, whatever, this will work with all of them. And I think the idea behind this is quite simple. You have a very high level of personalization, so to say. So somebody really feels like, okay, this is for me. And if you have this consistency, so the main aspect here is consistency between what somebody has entered into Google, what the ad shows, and what you have on the landing page. This is really, really cool and worked really well. And yeah, this is basically it. This is the local search strategy. Not too much of a rocket science, but I think I hope a nice initiative and something that you might not have seen before, and maybe a few thoughts for you.
Dude, this is really awesome, man. I think if you're doing any type of local lead gen, and especially if you have different locations that you can serve from, I think this is an absolute must to use, right? Because it gives you that extra personalization, which is exactly what you're looking for if you have a local, if you're doing a local search. So yeah, this is really awesome, man. We have a few questions in the chat.
Sure.
Let's see. Let's start with the first one. Bailey asked, is there a benefit to this tool over Google Optimize? But then Nick also mentioned that it is phased out. But maybe another question could be, why did you choose perspective? What is it? Perspective was the tool?
Perspective. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just we used it because we have we started to endeavor more into landing page creation because we wanted to have, besides conversion tracking and all of that, another like skill that is necessary to drive good results.
Yeah.
And then we looked out to different tools, and Perspective makes it easy to use this personalization. Of course, there are also other landing page builders. I don't know if they have this personalization support, but basically we just if you want to do the same, you can also do hard coding. You can extract a query from a URL and then dynamically insert it into a headline. If you don't know how to do it, try to do it with ChatGPT. It will be really helpful. But we needed something that is easy for us and also for our account managers to just set it up, add like this placeholder into the landing page, into the funnel, and then be able to fill it with those dynamic values.
Yeah, exactly. And if you have a tool like that that just does it for you, then why not?
Yes. Yeah.
So Yalmer asked, do you still have all the keywords in one ad group, or do you have one ad group per city?
All the keywords in one ad group, so to have it as consolidated as possible. We also still have the other ad group with the old keywords, but this is like getting less and less spent. But if you do it, I highly recommend. So if you have, for example, one campaign with an ad group that has this local theme and one ad group that has like broad match or phrase match or whatever, and the broad match phrase match could also trigger for search queries that you want to target with your local ad group, then you should exclude all the local themed keywords from the other ad groups so that you have a clear cut between those two, because then you have one ad group that only goes to the local theme, and the other ad group, if you have phrase match or broad match, can try to search for different long tail opportunities and find other like keywords, other search queries where it can get conversions for you. But yeah, don't make it too complicated. And I also don't know if there's a limit actually to ad groups in a campaign. But since the limit for keywords is quite high, you don't run into a problem, but maybe you would run into a problem with the ad group number if you do like 2,000 keywords. But yeah, so try to make it manageable.
Yeah, great. Let's see. Maybe you already answered this, but Harm asked, are there still other ad groups in the campaign that target more
Yep.
broader terms with phrase match or even broad
Yep,
match?
they have. Yeah, we still have them, but they spend significantly less because as I showed you here, this is basically also, this was the ad group with broad match, phrase match, everything before. And we noted that those terms were already in there. So there's a lot of other terms also, but a huge, like a good chunk of the keywords that we're converting were already the locals. So the other ad group is spending like significantly less and doesn't get as much budget as the local ad group.
Yeah, nice. Then one final question is, Nick, does Perspective have offline conversion tracking integrated, or do you have another way of tying the data together?
So for the so no, it doesn't have it integrated. You could do it actually. So Perspective also added a CRM functionality, and you can add like webhooks and so on. But I have to be honest with you, we don't use the CRM functionality here. For this client, they use Pipedrive. We push the leads from Perspective via a webhook to Pipedrive. In Pipedrive, different stages, as you might know from offline conversion tracking, and then from Pipedrive trigger to Zapier, and then over Zapier to Google Ads. But you can also like do it with a Google Sheet. So push it to a Google Sheet, add some columns with qualified and won, and then trigger it from there over Zapier. So multiple options, but yeah, maybe just give Perspective a test run, see if you like the tool, or just also because I don't want to like narrow it down too much on Perspective. If you want to do something similar, just look for a tool that supports personalization and passing over a parameter over the query that you can then use in the content of your landing page, for example, in the headline or in certain texts. Because if it supports this, then this strategy also is supported. Otherwise, you can for sure also hard code it, but this is maybe a little bit more complicated, or you need a developer.
Cool. And then you have the keyword is inserted in the headline.
Yes.
The rest of the page is just identical in all
Yes,
cases.
100% identical.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And in this case, for example, we even did it a little bit more complicated than we do it with others, because we didn't only add the keyword, but also like this whole phrase, like take singing lessons in city, because we wanted to have this landing page with this question frame. So you want to take singing lessons in, and if you use this personalization, just always like ask yourselves, okay, will it read well? How will it read? Does it make sense? How can I use it? Because you have to ensure that if you drive traffic from 2000 different keywords, that it makes sense grammatically, you know? And usually in all those tools, no matter Perspective or another tool, you always can use a default value. So for example, in this case, if no query parameters added, the headline will just read, du willst Gesangsunterricht nehmen. So you want to take singing lessons, get your free blah, blah, blah now. So there's always a default if no query parameters added.
Yeah. This is really awesome, man. And I don't know if you saw the comment from Quint in the chat, but he said this is
No.
exactly what I needed. So awesome. He's gonna use your referral link. So can you actually send that to me? I will
Yeah,
just put
sure.
it in the when I share the recordings. I will put it there.
Thanks.
Yeah, this was awesome. So